Hey, what's up guys? The weather outside is frightful. It's storming up. I'm not even kidding, it's actually people stranded underwater at the moment in the north of New Zealand. It's storm for the next couple of days apparently, so it's time to stay inside, wrap that blanket around, play some video games, and just tough it out. Although to be fair, if it was sunny, I'd just be playing video games, but I wouldn't be wearing any pants because it'd be too warm. But anyway, tonight we are going to be seeing a Protoss vs Protoss and Antiga Shipyard between the icy blue Protoss with the mint flavor Complexity's minigun and against that red hot chili flavored vileDdoro. And I don't know too much about vileDdoro, although his name slightly reminds me of a Dodrio from Pokemon. He might be one of those ladder heroes that's a rising star. They come out of the wood and they just start making up a scene. And of course, there's actually quite a lot of good players on the ladder who don't really go to tournaments, but they are still really good. Of course, that's why they're called ladder heroes, naturally. So Protoss vs Protoss, very aggressive matchup. You see a lot of one base timings. You rarely see early expansion timings, such as a Forge Fast Expand or Nexus First that you might see versus Terran or Zerg. We do have that first gateway coming up for MiniGun, as well for our red flavored opponent. And MiniGun being very diligent, looking all these dark corners of the map. Of course, MiniGun might be thinking to himself, well, he's a known player, his strats could have been looked up. When you know about players or all the big names, you always can find the replays fairly easily. But he might not know anything about this player, and if that's the case, you might be worried because it's always the player you don't know about that you worry about more. If he was going up against a big name player, you can go, well, he'll just probably expand and go for his standard play, or if he's going to early attack, if that's what his thing is. But against those unknown players, you start to get a bit worried, like, is he going to cheese me? Is he going to go for some crazy build, like 2-gate Zealot with cannons, which probably would never work quite well at this level. It's either cannon rush or 2's gate, but together not so much. Anyway, we do have the probe going in now. Of course, this is the MLG version, so I think it's force cross spawn. Do you see that MiniGun's Sunlight's core was a little bit behind that, and his gas is a bit behind that as well, and that's probably because of that early probe scan. He's got a little bit less minerals. Although he is a little bit up in supply, looks like he is just about one probe behind actually, so I guess he must be getting that Zealot out. Yep, and it looks like Dodro has opted to skip the Zealot. Of course, the Zealot will never really catch his probe if he uses it correctly, so he's going to wait for that Stalker and begin to chrono boost his warp gates. And no chrono boost yet for our blue Protoss, although he is saving up his chrono boost, so he could use a couple on that later on if he decides that it's going to be aggressive. And we see the Zealot here is now chasing that probe, and the probe's easily getting away. And is he just going to run away, or is he going to go hide a pylon somewhere? That's probably the case. Of course, pylons always go up if you let that probe get away, and they almost always get away, unless you've got your range units out. So we have the 2 gates are now finished. Looks like Dodro is continuing to chrono boost. As soon as he... is he saving this one? He's going to use it. He's going to make me look silly. Looks like... oh, there we go. Thank you, Dodro. We do see that probe is now going up here, and it's probably gonna... yep, we got a pylon going down here, and that'll allow him to warp down into this area. Here we see the patterns of their builds finally coming out. MiniGun is going for that Robo Bay, so very safe build. You can get Immortals out versus Stalkers, you can get Observers out versus DTs, and it looks like Doro is going for a Twilight Council, so it's either going to be a DT rush or that blink timing, and it's probably going to be the blink timing because that's the strongest. Of course, a good player can usually easily defend DTs, especially if he's going this Robo Bay, and it might chrono boost out the first Observer and send it straight into the base. And there's the Observer coming up. His 3rd gateway is now on the way. Warp gate's almost finished. Of course, warp gates should be... yep, they were finished a bit sooner for our red player. Continuing to hide his probe up in the top. Supply is really even, and this is a bit of an interesting situation because MiniGun should be able to defend this, but I feel like he's playing very cautiously. And of course the Blink Stalkers, while they're not going to really win against the early Immortals, they do give him a lot of map control and blink up into his base later when he goes into his tech for himself. He does have that blink coming up, and he is chrono boosting it as well. Looks like he's a bit of idle probe here, might be about to build something. So we have those Force Stalkers up, and he's... oh, nice force field. He's going to get trapped 2 of those Stalkers in, and MiniGun losing one of his Stalkers. A bit of bad control there. But it's going to be 3 Stalkers to 2 actually, so MiniGun actually losing a bit more than he should have in that engagement. Doro is now going away with his stalkers, and he's got to build up that stalker count. You see there is no sentries or zealots here, and that's a bit of a tip for MiniGun that he's going blink timing, because he's not going to need zealots if he's got blink. That first immortal is out, and with those really powerful phase disruptors, it's going to do 50 damage per shot, so it doesn't take long to kill stalkers, not by any stretch of imagination. He's getting out another observer, and I'm a bit confused about that. I think he's already got one. Yeah, there he goes, cancels it and gets the immortal. Additional gateways are now coming up for Doro, and that blink is just about finished. The second immortal is not yet out yet. Looks like he could probably deny this expansion. He does have one immortal, but yeah, he should be able to easily hold this. Even with his sentry, he's got an additional one. Looks like he was trying to get a closer pylon, but it got taken out. Do have a few zealots coming in now for meat shields. Both players have expanded out, and this is an interesting situation because Doro has got his Robo Bay up now, so he'll be able to start pumping out immortals to match the immortals of our blue Protoss. However, the blink timing is going to take a long time for MiniGun. So, MiniGun has the army advantage, but Doro has the tech advantage. And it's easier to build up army than it is to build up tech. So if MiniGun isn't careful, he could start to get behind a bit. Of course, he would win now against these units because of those two immortals. But as the blink starts to come in more, he's going to be able to get out an immortal, he's going to be able to blink up into the main, he's going to be able to harass, and then as soon as he gets a couple of immortals of his own, he'll be able to match the immortal count and just stomp over him. He is a little bit up in supply as well. Doro has a higher probe count by about 5 probes, and that's quite significant at this stage of the game. Of course, their expansion have just started. We do have that Twilight Council coming up now. Of course, MiniGun realizing it needs blink to counter the opponent's blink. Doesn't look like Doro has got any immortals out yet. He's just using units, using observers to blink up the main, and this is where that take advantage I was talking about. He's going to be able to blink out. He should not gets out without losing anything, and he's going to be able to go backwards and forwards and just be really, really abusive here. Of course, if MiniGun brings his observer back into the mix, he can try and snipe the other observer, and see his observer is there. He doesn't have anything that really hits up though, so it's a nice blink micro by Doro. He doesn't get that pylon, but he doesn't lose any stalkers, and he could come up and just snipe this at a later date. So that was fairly good control by our red Protoss. Looks like he is now starting to get those immortals like I was saying, and MiniGun's blink is still a long way off. Of course, blink is one of those researches that takes quite a while, 140 seconds. Not being chrono boosted at the moment, and Doro continuing to harass with those lasers going around in circles. Bit of an arc, it's a bit weird for a laser to do. Narrowly escaping with that stalker. Of course, the bigger these stalker count gets, the worse it'll be for MiniGun, because those stalkers with proper micro just really don't die. But we do see a robotics bay coming up for MiniGun, so he's going to try and get Colossus out, and that, I don't know about that, because he's gonna have a lot of trouble getting up the Colossus count he needs, and the Stalkers can just blink in and take him out, and also Immortals can really snipe Colossus really quickly, especially without those Thermal Lancers. And it looks like the engagement is about to start here. Ooh, MiniGun almost losing his observer, that would have been very disastrous. Looks like his blink will finish in time, and he's going to take out Doro's observer, so now it's going to be one observer versus no observer. The army is smaller for MiniGun. It's a lot of Stalkers and only 3 Immortals. 1 Immortal, and blinks in, and he's going to be taken out. And this is to prevent him from force fielding the ramp. He can just go in and surround this army, and he does force field the ramp. But it looks like he's going to run away this army, and this amount of Stalkers can just do so much havoc with his base. Oh, he's going to take out the Robo facility. That Colossus does not come out. It's wasted his entire tech path, and he looks like he even kills MiniGun's army because he has to force him to go back, and he's going to sandwich him in now. It looks like he was just going to run away actually, but oh, he's in such a good position now. He's going to be able to jump in and harass as much as he wants. Although I think he has to wait to get another. Nope, his Obs is still alive. Perfect moves for Doro. He's now getting some additional gases to see if this game goes any longer, but I don't know, I think MiniGun's just in a too hard of a position here. He lost his Robo Bay, and it looks like he lost his Cybernetics Core as well, so he's not able to produce any Stalkers or Immortals, so only Zealots versus Blink Stalkers, and that's just not going to cut it. You do see the Zealots are now going to try and trap these units. They looks like he can snipe his tech if you wanted to. He's just going to go for the army, just blink on top of them, and he goes in, and those Immortals are going to drop so fast, and Oh, minigun GG's. So, nice move by our unknown spicy red Protoss. Maybe we'll be seeing more of them in the future. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and see you next time.